Alright guys, today we're going to install a Lux Bidet Neo 180. It's a Christmas present that we've gotten from a family member, so we're going to try it out. So it's, like I said, Lux Bidet 180. Comes with some tools, comes with pretty much everything that you need to set it up. So this is a braided steel line that the fresh water comes into the bidet, and this is the bidet itself. So obviously the different connections, some instructions or instruction guide on how to. Obviously you gotta hook it into your toilet. So in the toilet here, obviously one of the most important things that you're gonna wanna do is shut off the water in the back here. So ours has a flip switch here. You're just gonna flip the switch, shut it off, give it a flush. And you don't have any more water filling because it's shut off, okay? There's caps on the top of your toilet seat here. You're gonna open those up, and you should have a Phillips head screwdriver in there, or a Phillips head screw. You can easily use a flat head as well because they're larger. So just go ahead and unscrew these. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these out, and then I'll come back on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these fixtures out, and then we'll get back at it. So on the back of these, there's a bolt. So you have a bolt and a nut that you're gonna go ahead and slide that out. Once that's off, some breaking things, you're gonna go ahead and lift the toilet seat off, okay? So you have the seat all the way off. Place that off to the side. And I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off these fixtures here. Try to get, this nice and clean again. Obviously it's a toilet, so it's buildup and whatnot. So just go ahead and clean all this off. Make sure your toilet's nice and clean before you add anything. Another flush. Obviously it's not filled up with water. So I'm gonna unpack this. This is going to go down onto the back of the seat, and I'll go ahead and bring it back up, kind of give you an idea where it connects. So you're going to sit it back on top of the toilet. These adapters here actually go back in place then, and you can line up the holes, obviously, with the bidet. So it's going to make sure the holes line up. That way when you're putting your toilet seat back on top, because the toilet seat's going to actually go over top of the bidet. So I'm going to go ahead and put the seat back on. That way you guys can see how that's all fit together and realigned. But like I said, it's going to actually sit below the toilet seat. And then the water actually comes out of this fixture here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that a while. Alright, so we screwed those back in. Bolts and nuts are back onto the seat. So the seat's reattached again, not flopping around. You obviously have your bidet controls over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut these back down, make sure they're latched in. Everything's nice and tight. You don't have to worry about anything moving around, obviously, when you have your seat. So you have that little control on the right-hand side there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and attach these assemblies. So I'll kind of give you an idea and show you how I'm doing that. The most important thing, obviously, is making sure that your water is shut off. You will have a little bit of a drip when you unscrew this fixture because obviously there's going to be some water into the bowl yet. So my recommendation would be probably to get a bucket, put it under here, let some of that water drain into there, and then just wipe up the excessive amount of water. And then go ahead and start mounting everything. So my bucket's a little bit larger than what I would like, but I'm probably going to end up making a mess here. But it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this. All of this should be hand tightened. You shouldn't have to get any kind of wrenches out or anything. So not too much water. I just put the bucket off to the side, and then what I would do is grab a towel, throw a towel down. Anything excessive that leaks down onto it, just obviously dry up the mess that you're gonna have. So put the hose fixture off to the side here and then prepare to install everything else. So let me see here. I'm just gonna put you down for a second here. Try to open this bag. Not quite how I planned it. All right, so we have our hose. They give you 2 different wrenches in here so that you don't have to get your wrenches out. Everything's pretty much prepared for you. So you're gonna put those aside. You have this fixture here. The piece with the rubber grommet is gonna go back up into the top of the toilet here. Your fresh water is going to come into the bottom of this, and then this guy is going to go out to the bidet. The bidet itself has a small hook up here. Hopefully you can see that. So you're going to go ahead and run that steel braided hose over to the bidet. So I'll go ahead and try to hook this up and then kind of give you footage along the way here. I think it'll be kind of difficult. You know what, I might be able to screw this in without putting you down here. Let me try this. So this is the, like I said, the piece that's going back up into the top here. I'm gonna go ahead and screw that in. And you should not need to use Teflon tape as long as your fixture's all, you make sure you back thread the bolt before you screw it on. Anytime you're using any kind of plastic threads, you want to make sure that you back thread it. You don't want to just directly try to start screwing it on. You can strip the threads. So just back thread it a little bit and then give it a good tighten. You know, I would probably use the sockets just to make sure it's nice and tightened. You know, you don't want it to be loose, obviously, because you don't want any drips. So you're gonna take all these fixtures off. You're gonna run your fresh water, you're gonna run your fresh water back into the bottom here. It's the same thing, plastic threading, give it a little bit of a back thread. Make sure it's sitting on there right. I'm gonna go ahead and thread that on. You could use Teflon tape here. I'm gonna try without it first. Not that I'm opposed to Teflon tape, but usually if it's snug, you don't necessarily need to use it. So gonna go ahead and make sure those are tight all the way. And then here I probably will use a little bit of Teflon because it's metal on metal, but usually with the plastic they seat on top of each other nicely. So this is plastic to metal and then plastic to metal. So I'm gonna put a little bit of Teflon tape around here just because it's a metal to metal fitting. And then on this other end, it's plastic once again. You can kind of see that. I'm gonna go ahead and not worry about putting Teflon on that as of right now. For some reason, I tighten it and go ahead and turn the water on and I have some leaks, then I'll go ahead and readjust. But I believe right now we shouldn't have to do any kind of Teflon. As you can see, I went ahead and wrapped the Teflon tape around this. And then we're going to go ahead and screw this fixture in. Maybe. Sometimes plumbing, especially in a small area, can be a little bit difficult just because you don't have the room. Obviously, we're in our powder room downstairs here. I'm figuring this would be a good area to mount this. So I'm going to go ahead and screw that in. And then attach this. Try to mount the hose. You're going to have some hoses sticking out here. It's the only downfall to this because you have fresh water going to the tank and obviously fresh water coming into the bidet here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount these, get it all mounted all together. and then I will bring you back up to kind of show you how everything's working. All right, guys, it is all installed. So, had a little bit of a leak. I think we got it taken care of though. When I actually went ahead and tightened all this up, and I had a little bit of a leak up at the top here. I did not put any Teflon on it, still just needed to tighten it. I had it hand tightened, so I used that wrench that they supplied. But then actually, I guess from loosening the hose here, this nut down at the bottom actually became a little bit looser than it should have been. So I did have some dripping coming from there. So I went ahead and tightened this back up with a wrench and turned the water on and off and have flushed it a few times, and I don't seem to be getting any kind of drippage. I'll keep an eye on it over the next 24 hours just to make sure. You want to always look back when you're doing a plumbing job to make sure that you do not have any kind of leakage or seepage at any of the joints over the next day or two, just to make sure that you do everything buttoned up, because the last thing you want to do is come in and not realize it's been dripping and you have some deterioration in the wood or whatever it is. Luckily this stuff here is like a vinyl plank, so it doesn't do anything as far as it's kind of permeable. Plus we don't actually have a basement here where we live. We live closer to the beach, so this is actually, we're right on a concrete slab. So but still, you don't want excessive amounts of water leaking. So go ahead and, just like I said, make sure that's working properly. And then I'm not actually gonna spray it at the moment just because I don't want to get hosed, but basically what will happen is this will drop 2 sprayers down and obviously give you a spray. So we'll give it a shot and I'll let you know how everything's working. But otherwise, that's pretty much the install, and that was for the Neo 180 bidet. And I will let you know in our comments down below how things turn out. Thanks again for tuning in.